In this custom showcase, we'll be looking at my custom Ultraverse Prime. If you've been to the channel before, you know I'm a huge Ultraverse fan, and my favorite character with the Ultraverse is Prime. I've actually made quite a few customs of Prime for myself and some friends, and this is actually a revisit of one of my older customs. This has actually been showcased on the channel before, but in a different look. This was my very first Final Form Prime in the red and blue look of the costume. And I'll put a link to it up here if you want to check out that review so you can see it like a before and after. Last year, I put a second Final Form Prime on eBay. My friend actually had this one. He ended up buying that one, and after that, he asked me if I can rebuild the first one into a first appearance Prime. I was glad to help out with that. It's a fun project, getting to revisit one of my older customs and making updates to make it better than it ever was before. For the base body of this Prime is Caliban, and the Caliban body's finally been getting some nice reuse. They recently used that body to make the Puff Adder, and they're going to be using it for Drax, the Destroyer, and the 2-pack with Moondragon. The Caliban body is probably one of their better, sculpted big buff bodies. It's not Hulk size, but it's big and bulky. Got great anatomy, muscle definition, got the veins, just all around big muscular proportion, which is great for a character like Prime. He's bigger than normal characters. As you can see, we got the new Extremis Iron Man. That makes a perfect size for Prime. He was huge. This is about the size difference between him and Prototype, which was basically the Ultraverse's version of Iron Man. With these two side by side, you can get a good look at all the sculpting differences between the two bodies. First thing you'll notice, all the armor is sculpted. That's all hand sculpted with using A's Fix-It sculpt and styrene strips to build out the armor. Same with the boots. These, I have a tutorial too on the channel where sculpting boots like these. I'll put a link right here. And the forearm bracers originally started out that way, but I ended up making molds of my original bracers, and so we'll cast those. So these are nice solid one-piece gauntlets now. I did some resculpting on the P to make it look like the first appearance P. Love how this turned out. It's probably my favorite P shield right now for Prime. The P crest. And he has one on the back. But buddy of mine does vinyl graphics, Final Signs, and I sent him the vector files for this, and I sent him the capes, and he's able to cut those and press those and make the capes. I got a few of these capes made up for this, and I love how that turns out. It just makes it feel a little more premium, like the piece when you got the logos like this. For the hands, they actually came from a 1/6 scale Marvel Legends Deadpool. These perfect scale, I think, for this with the Puff Adder figure. Those hands are, I think, a little bit too big for the character. They could work in a pinch, but to me, I like a little bit. They still need to be big, but not quite as big as the Puff Adder hands. And for the head, it is actually a combination of a enlarged Hyperion head and All Might, a Presto statue. I actually made castings years and years ago. I got Glassman Customs to enlarge the Hyperion head for me. Yeah, I got a few of those castings, and I decided when I first made Prime, I didn't have a smiling head, and really needed a smiling head for Prime, so I got looking at my Van Presto All Might figure statue, and liked the grin, and so I ended up casting both those heads so I could splice them together, and this was the result. It's a nice big grin, and with one of the things too, with the redo the figure, I end up blending the seam here between the two different heads together a little better. This side, you see a little bit of a hard edge. Not really a hard edge, but you can still see the seam underneath. So I want to sand that down and make that a lot nicer. So to match the other side, and I've cleaned up the jawline, made those more symmetrical on both sides. And other two, if I clearancing out a little more too between different areas, between the ab crunches and around the waist twist. I want to make sure everything's really nice and well done on this redo. One of the things too you'll notice too, he's got more veins. I made push molds of some of the veins on the 80th anniversary Hulk, and I was able to blend those into the torso That's one thing with the character design for Prime. He's like big, jacked, like veins popping, like muscular body. So I was able to add a little more veins onto the pecs and onto the lats on both sides, which actually made the lats a little bit bigger too. Helps with that V shape of the torso. The cape actually is attached to me with magnets. I put magnets in the traps of the figure, so you can actually display the figure without the cape. That's nice seamless sculpt over top. And it just attaches with magnets and it stays nice and secure. And it's being a wired cape too. You can pose it, it holds positions. Once you go to a wired cape, you just can't go back to a plastic cape. Both my friends, Don Sawyer and Harker Customs, they make some fantastic soft good capes. Makes any figure look so much better. The figure retains all the articulation except for one point. The boots, to get these nice smooth boots, I did end up sacrificing the calf swivels down here just so I can have just a nice clean boot. And also tapered down the lower legs and used the Marvel Select Colossus feet. So I didn't want the big giant feet. Go along, keep the figure looking streamlined, more humanoid proportions instead of the giant hands and feet like a lot of action figures have. But other than that, all the other articulations here, we got the waist twist, ab crunch, hinged shoulders, bicep swivels, single joint elbows, disc hinge neck, double joint knees, and everything moves nice and free, and all of my joints are prepped. Everything looks good. I'm really happy with how this rebuild turned out. And just get a little size showing how big this guy is. And here we have a Retro Cart Spider-Man. And of course we have the Extremis Iron Man. So you can see how big he is, but he's not Hulk size, but he is a good size bigger. This is pretty accurate to how he was portrayed in the comics. And for a teaser, I'm almost done with an evil version of Prime. This is only needing the cape to finish it out. This is a reanimated husk. So Prime is actually a 13-year-old boy. He forms a shell around his body, they call it a Prime shell. And this is a discarded husk that was magically reanimated. And this was a fun project. I couldn't have done this without my friend Box of Cannons on Instagram. He modeled the head for me, and the chest piece, and the energy effects, like the tear onto the body. Love how that turned out. You'll be seeing a full video on this later on. Anyway, thanks for taking the time to watch the video. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time.